Welcome to the weekly digital health podcast by White Coat Hackers Media. This is where biotech breakthroughs, biomedical innovation, and the future of digital health come to life. Tune in because the future of health starts here.
Trying to keep up with everything that's changing, it just feels like a constant race, doesn't it?
It really does. Information overload is definitely a thing.
Exactly. And that's where we come in with the deep dive. We try to, sift through it all and pull out what really matters.
And today we're jumping into healthcare, specifically some advances in health tech and pharmaceutical regulation.
We've got a few different threads we've pulled together, developments that might seem separate at first glance.
Right, but when you look closer, they start to show some, pretty interesting patterns about where healthcare is headed.
Okay, so 3 main areas today. First up, using wearables, think Fitbits, Oura Rings, and AI to try and predict opioid relapse.
Yeah, a really fascinating application of that tech.
Then we'll look at how online pharmacies and home delivery are just exploding. Getting meds is changing fast.
Convenience is definitely king there.
And finally, there's a bit of regulatory drama with the FDA's review of a new heart drug. A bit of a curveball there.
So, the mission for this deep dive?
It's really to connect those dots. What's the bigger picture? What are the potential impacts, good and, maybe not so good? How might this affect you?
And we've got some intriguing details, like can AI really tell if someone's heading for a mood episode just from their sleep data?
Right. And why would the FDA suddenly ask for a big safety plan for a drug after saying, okay, we'll review it? Lots to unpack.
Okay, let's start with that first one, wearables, AI, and opioid relapse prevention.
What's immediately striking is how many different players are involved. It's not just one company.
Absolutely. You've got the Digital Medicine Society, DIME, coordinating this effort.
And they've pulled in groups like Alcohol and Drug Services, Duke University, Google Fitbit, Morse Clinics.
North Carolina Central University, Shura, Proof Pilot, UNC Chapel Hill. It's a real mix of clinical, academic, and tech expertise.
And the core idea is to use the data these wearables are already collecting, plus info from smartphones,
to try and spot the warning signs of an opioid relapse before it happens.
Yeah.
And then, ideally, intervene.
And this is tackling a massive problem. The latest SAMHSA numbers from 2023.
Yeah, they estimate 5.7 million people aged 12 or older had opioid use disorder in the past year. That's, 2% of that population?
It's a staggering number. So what exactly are these devices tracking?
Well, it's a combination of things. Physiological signals, mostly.
Yeah.
Heart rate variability, sleep patterns, especially looking for things like insomnia.
Activity levels, too, right? Like physical inactivity.
Exactly. And physiological stress indicators that the devices can estimate.
And the phone adds another layer.
Right. The smartphone data helps capture more of the mental health picture. Things like potential social isolation, maybe changes in communication patterns, plus self-reported anxiety and depression levels.
Okay, so you gather all this data, physiological, from the wearable, behavioral, and self-reported from the phone.
And you feed it into an AI model. The goal is to train that AI to recognize the complex patterns that might precede a relapse.
So it's like teaching the system. This combination of factors often leads to trouble.
Precisely. And Duke University's Big Ideas Lab. They're running a pilot study right now, really focused on testing this whole approach, making sure the data quality is solid. Garbage in, garbage out, after all.
Makes sense. You need reliable data for the AI to learn anything useful. I saw a quote from Candace DeGibo at DIME.
Yeah.
She emphasized how complex OUD is. It's not just one thing. So they're trying to capture data related to mental health, social support, treatment access, even socioeconomic factors, a really broad view.
It has to be comprehensive. And Shamal Patel from Shura made a good point, too, about using tech not just to collect data, but to build evidence-based protocols.
And give people personalized insights.
Exactly. Empowering individuals and their care teams with, more objective information to guide recovery.
This definitely feels like part of that bigger wave of wearables and AI filtering into standard healthcare.
Oh, absolutely. It's not happening in a vacuum. DIME and Google Health even launched a free online course recently.
For doctors, right, on using generative AI and LLMs in healthcare.
Yeah, that tells you how seriously this is being taken within the medical community.
And then there was that study out of South Korea. That was really eye-opening.
The one using Fitbit data for mood disorders.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite remarkable.
They claim they could predict mood episodes, major depression, bipolar with 80 to 98% accuracy.
That's what the paper reported, yes.
Yeah.
Based purely on sleep and circadian rhythm data. Published in Nature Digital Medicine.
How did they even do that, just from sleep?
Well, they extracted 36 different features related to sleep cycles and body clocks from the Fitbit data.
Yeah.
Very granular stuff.
Okay.
And then they used a powerful machine learning technique called XGBoost to find the predictive patterns in all that data. The high accuracy really shows the potential of this kind of passive monitoring.
And it's not just research projects. The companies themselves are getting serious backing. Shura, for instance.
Big funding round, right?
Yeah, $200 million Series D, valued them at over $5 billion. And they partnered with Dexcom.
The glucose monitoring company.
Yeah.
Dexcom invested $75 million, I believe.
Right. And the idea is to get Dexcom CGM data flowing to the Oura Ring and vice versa.
That kind of data integration between different health devices,
Yeah.
that's probably where a lot of this is headed, a more connected, real-time view of your health.
Okay, let's shift gears. From monitoring health to actually getting treatment. The pharmacy world is seeing huge changes too, especially with online and home delivery.
Really. Convenience and tech are really shaking things up here as well.
Yeah.
And Amazon is a major force, obviously.
For sure. So ServiewRx, they're a PBM, a pharmacy benefit manager.
They manage drug plans for employers and health plans, basically.
Right. They're teaming up with Amazon Pharmacy. So ServiewRx members can now get their regular maintenance meds delivered to their home via Amazon.
And access all the online pharmacy services, too.
What are the perks for the members? Sounds like quite a few.
Yeah, the pitch is manage everything online, see pricing upfront, which is a big deal for many people.
Always good, yeah.
Automatic refills, 247 access to pharmacists for questions, customer support, and in some places, free same-day delivery.
That same-day option is huge if you need something quickly. How does the switch work if you're a ServiewRx member?
It sounds pretty seamless. They say active prescriptions will just transfer over to Amazon Pharmacy automatically.
What about more complex drugs like specialty medications?
That's handled differently. For those, ServiewRx is working with another company, Waltz Health.
Waltz Health?
Yeah, they use an AI platform specifically designed for managing those high-cost, complex specialty drugs. So those patients transition to Waltz.
Okay, so different pathways depending on the medication.
Yep.
Makes sense. Tanvi Patel from Amazon Pharmacy talked about the convenience, peace of mind.
And that 247 pharmacist access, yeah.
And the ServiewRx CEO, Justin Jasniewski, called it a bold step forward, creating a seamless member-centric ecosystem. Sounds ambitious.
It does. And like we said, Amazon isn't just doing this one partnership. They've been expanding steadily.
Like the same-day delivery. They rolled that out in NYC and LA, right?
Yeah, for common meds, flu, high blood pressure, diabetes, using smaller local facilities to speed things up.
They also did that pilot with One Medical, didn't they?
Right, focusing on older patients who are often on lots of different medications.
Helping them with consultations, checking for interactions,
Right.
even deprescribing.
Exactly. Deprescribing, carefully stopping meds that might not be needed anymore or could be causing problems. Super important for polypharmacy, when people are taking multiple drugs.
And you can't forget the drones.
Right. The pilot in College Station, Texas. Prescription delivery by drone in under an hour.
Sounds like sci-fi, but it's happening. Over 500 common meds available that way.
It shows how they're experimenting with logistics to improve access and speed.
And one more thing they're doing, partnering directly with drug companies.
Yeah, GSK, Kaleo, Novo Nordisk, Dexcom.
To automatically apply manufacturer coupons. So for things like Trelegy, AUVIQ, Wegovy, Dexcom sensors.
Exactly. The discount just gets applied automatically when you order through Amazon Pharmacy. Takes out a step for the patient and can lower costs significantly.
That's pretty smart. Makes it easier and cheaper right at the point of sale. Okay, final topic. Let's dive into the FDA and Cytokinetics heart drug.
Right. This one's a fascinating look at the drug approval process and how risk management plays into it.
So the company is Cytokinetics. The drug is aficamten, and it's for a specific heart condition.
Yes, obstructive hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or OHCM. It's where the heart muscle gets too thick, making it harder for the heart to pump blood effectively.
Okay. And aficamten works how?
It's what's called a small molecule drug. It targets and inhibits the specific mutated proteins in the heart muscle that are causing that thickening.
And it's seen as a potential rival to an existing drug.
Exactly. Bristol Myers Squibb makes a drug called Camzyos, which works similarly and is already approved for OHCM.
How's Camzyos doing in the market?
Pretty well. Sales hit $602 million in 2024, up significantly. But, and this is key, Camzyos has a black box warning.
The most serious kind of warning the FDA requires.
Right. It warns about the risk of heart failure. And because of that risk, Camzyos is only available through a restricted program called a REMS.
A risk evaluation and mitigation strategy. Basically, extra safety steps required for prescribing and dispensing.
Precisely. So back to aficamten. Cytokinetics was expecting an FDA decision back in September, but that got pushed back.
Yeah, the new deadline is December 26th. And the reason for the delay is that the FDA asked Cytokinetics to submit a REMS for aficamten.
Which was unexpected.
Kind of, yeah, because the phase 3 trial data for aficamten actually showed its side effect profile was similar to the placebo group. And critically, there were no cases of heart failure reported in the trial.
That seems like a big difference compared to Camzyos with its heart failure warning.
It does. And Cytokinetics had apparently proposed its own risk management plan, but they hadn't initially proposed a formal REMS like Camzyos has.
Their whole commercial strategy probably depends on getting a cleaner label, doesn't it?
That's what they've indicated. They believe having a less burdensome label and risk plan than Camzyos is crucial for aficamten's success in the market.
So the FDA asking for a REMS now, late in the game, that throws a wrench in things.
It's considered a major amendment to their application, which automatically triggers a 3-month review extension. That's standard procedure.
But the FDA didn't ask for more studies or data?
No, that's important. No requests for additional clinical data. It seems to be purely focused on the risk management plan, the REMS.
What's the company saying?
Well, the CEO, Robert Blum, expressed confidence, said they believe in the drug's benefit-risk profile and still expect they can get a differentiated label and risk plan compared to Camzyos.
Maintaining optimism, naturally, but analysts must be weighing in.
Yeah, Roanna Ruiz at Leerink Partners had an interesting take.
What does she suggest?
She floated the idea that maybe the FDA is rethinking its whole approach to risk for this entire class of drugs, the myosin inhibitors. So not just about aficamten specifically, but maybe a broader policy shift.
That's the speculation. Why ask for the REMS after accepting the application? Usually that's discussed earlier. It raises questions about the timing.
Interesting. Does she think it jeopardizes approval?
Not necessarily. She noted it gives Cytokinetics more time to potentially negotiate a different, maybe less restrictive REMS than Camzyos has. But it definitely adds uncertainty about what that final REMS will look like.
It does make you wonder what changed the FDA's mind or what new information came to light relatively late in the process.
Exactly. It introduces questions. But the overall feeling, according to Ruiz at least, is still cautiously optimistic for approval. It seems more like a procedural hurdle, albeit a significant one, rather than a fundamental issue with the drug itself. The shape of that REMS, though, is the big unknown now.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, we've covered quite a bit of ground.
We really have, from using wearables and AI in really novel ways for something like opioid relapse,
to the sheer convenience push in pharmacy with online services and home delivery.
and then into the nitty-gritty of FDA reviews and how complex risk management can be, especially when there are competing drugs.
These aren't isolated incidents, are they? They really paint a picture of healthcare evolving very quickly.
Absolutely. Technology is driving new ways to monitor, prevent, and treat illness. And the regulatory side is constantly trying to keep pace, balancing safety with innovation.
It really prompts you to think, doesn't it? Like, with all this data from wearables, how much more personalized and proactive could healthcare become?
That's the promise, certainly. Tailored interventions based on your real-time data.
But then you also have these regulatory decisions that can hugely impact whether potentially life-changing treatments actually reach patients. It's a complex interplay.
It is. And thinking about how these trends, more data, more convenience, evolving regulations might actually affect you or people you know, it's worth mulling over.
Definitely. Healthcare is constantly changing, and hopefully these deep dives help you make a bit more sense of it all.
That's the goal, trying to understand the forces shaping what's next for our health.